After the dust has settled, and I've had a moment to review and reflect on the game, here are some of my thoughts. This wasn't a routine win, it was a momentum heist. Ireland led for almost an hour. They looked the better side for 2/3 of the contest and still lost by 13. That combination is rare at this level, and it's incredibly revealing. Welcome back to Rugby from the Stands. I'm going to break this down in plain English, but with the depth the game deserves. We'll cover the flow of the match, the stat picture behind it, why the bench and set piece told on the scoreboard, and what both camps should do next, including a very honest take on Ireland's need to start blooding youth now, not later. Let's set the scene. Final score is 26-13, but the live story was different. Ireland was in front for 57 minutes. They had the game exactly where they wanted it, until New Zealand flipped it in a 5-minute burst and slammed the door in the last 20. If you felt whiplash, you weren't imagining it. Two truths can coexist. I'm delighted the All Blacks won, and Ireland has every right to feel gutted. The All Blacks were there for the taking for most of the day, but Ireland didn't finish the job. For about 50 to 60 minutes, Ireland was magnificent. With 14 men, they controlled field possession. They played at the pace they wanted, and they bullied the contact for long stretches. They deserved their halftime lead, and they stretched it to 13-7 on 51 minutes. That wasn't an illusion. It was built on real pressure. But watch what happens to the needle in the final quarter. Possession in the last 10 minutes, All Blacks had 89% versus Ireland's 11%. That's not a tweak, it's a takeover. Time in lead across the game, Ireland was leading for 57 minutes, New Zealand for only 20. But the only lead that mattered is the one when your legs are shot. That legs point isn't an excuse, it's context. The All Blacks came in with the Rugby Championship miles. Ireland came in light, and it showed late. But it doesn't excuse the finishing issues we'll get to, because Ireland created enough to win regardless. Let's talk data. 3 clusters decides tests like this: red zone conversion, line breaks, and post-contact transfer. First, red zone conversion. That's when you convert 22-meter entries into points. New Zealand had 7 entries versus Ireland's 5. Points per entry, New Zealand had 3.7 to Ireland's 1.4. That is the definition of clinical versus wasteful. With roughly similar territory, New Zealand did more with their trips, and Ireland didn't. Second, line breaks and threat. New Zealand had 5 line breaks to Ireland's 0. Yes, you heard me right. 0 line breaks. For all the Irish control, they did not break the line even once. You cannot beat New Zealand from phase to phase without punctures. And third, post-contact meters and carry profile. New Zealand had 291 meters versus Ireland's 157. That's the work of forwards winning the extra half meter and backs riding tackles. At the raw carries, New Zealand had 116 versus Ireland's 83. And you see who was winning the collision ledger as the game wore on. Now, layer in ruck speed. This is a critical proxy for breakdown efficiency. New Zealand had 63% of rucks at lightning speed, that's under 3 seconds. Ireland had 59%. And the All Blacks had only 6% in the slow 6+ second band. Ireland was stuck at 16% slow rucks. Fast ball becomes unstoppable when legs are tired. Finally, the defense picture. Ireland worked like demons. 158 tackles made, but they missed 24. That's an 87% completion. New Zealand missed just 10 for 92% completion. You can't miss that many and keep a slick side out forever. Put those 4 data points together and the scoreboard makes perfect sense. You saw 2 different truths at set piece. At scrums, Ireland posted a shiny 100% scrum win rate. New Zealand only 86% overall. And yet, the All Blacks felt more dominant late because they won the meaningful scrums and milked penalties in the moments that move scoreboards. Percentages don't capture leverage. At line out, both teams were poor. Ireland was 69% and New Zealand 75%. Ireland's malfunction wasn't just lost ball, it was lost shape. That's a double tax on your attack. When your launch platform wobbles, your red zone conversion nosedives. Let's talk about restarts received. This is a sneaky big one. New Zealand had 100% restarts received versus Ireland's 67%. That's free possession after scores and free territory. It blunted Irish momentum right when they needed to piggyback scores together. We'll remember this as the 62nd minute game. At 61 minutes, Tamati Williams barges over. At 62 minutes, the kick nudges New Zealand ahead 14-13 for the first time. Then, 66 minutes, Sititi lands the body blow. From there, you could feel the air go out of Ireland's tires. 76 minutes, Roigard iced it. One narrow lead flipped an entire day of Irish control into scoreboard pain. The timing isn't a coincidence. It's when a better warmed bench, quicker ruck ball, and superior post-contact transfer all compound. Kicking volume and purpose matter. Ireland kicked 31 times. New Zealand kicked 24. Early and mid-game, Ireland's contestables stressed the backfield. They won that aerial mini-battle. But in the last quarter, New Zealand flipped the field with productive kicks and better chases, and crucially, with cleaner exits rather than aimless hoofs. When your exits earn penalties or line breaks on the retreat, you get what I call 2-for-1s, meters and pressure. Let's talk people. This wasn't just system, it was moments. Fabian Holland, the man of the match, not a flashy stat line, but the kind of unseen graph that bends a game. Dominance in contact, set-piece glue, and a key role in the sequence where Jack Crowley was corralled back, allowing the turnover that preceded the Williams try. That's a forward deciding a test without a highlights package. Adi Savea doing Adi Savea things. A defensive turnover at a pressure moment, a finish out wide when the move demanded absolute faith, and the constant drumbeat of carry quality. His try steadied the ship. Then you had Will Jordan. Every touch carried threat. Even when Ireland tracked him, the panic he causes pulls shape apart for others. That's value beyond meters. Sititi, Tamati Williams, Roigard. They changed everything. Sititi's try was timing and acceleration. Williams brought mass and menace, and Roigard's late snipe slammed the door. These three caused massive impact. And also, don't ignore adversity. The All Blacks lost Scott Barrett and Geordie Barrett, 2 Barretts out of the 3, and they still found composure in the last quarter. Depth and adaptability matter, and we saw both for the All Blacks. Let's also give Ireland their due. Their breakdown ferocity for an hour was impressive to watch. They controlled field position, and their box kick pressure was on point, and their composure after the early card was admirable. They defended bravely, 158 tackles, but a mix of line-out bleed, lack of line breaks, and low points per 22 entry meant dominance didn't convert. At test level, pressure without payoff wears you out faster than the opposition. Tactically, there were a few pivotal wrong turns in the red zone. Grubbers after long phase counts that surrendered possession when the All Blacks were creaking but not broken. More decisions without the platform to execute. A couple of long shots at goal that telegraphed a lack of faith in finishing. Those add up over 80 minutes. 2 quick points because the discourse always goes here. First, the card at 2 minutes did not decide this match. Ireland won the 20-minute card window on the scoreboard and took a 10-0 lead soon after. Their undoing was finishing and set piece, not the color of a card. Second, the event operations, TMO delays, lack of in-stadium clarity, pitch issues. It didn't help the spectacle, especially for a US showcase. But those factors were shared and not decisive. Still, the sport needs to get that right if we want new fans to stick. As an All Blacks fan, I'm happy, but I'm also demanding. This team can be better. Line out fidelity, 75% isn't acceptable. The throws, the calls, the lifts, they all need to clean up. We really did miss Tupovai and Patrick Tuipolotu today. Sloppy restarts of play are momentum killers. We need a clear, consistent kicking plan, not just volume. We need purpose. When we exited with ambition and accuracy, it led to points. When we kicked loosely, it fed Irish phases. Lock the cues and the chase patterns. The last 20 looked like the All Blacks. The first 60 looked like strangers. The system is there. The tempo and spacing just have to arrive sooner. What are the stuff that we need to keep and continue? I think the bench sequencing was great. The injection of Sititi, Williams, and McKenzie flipped the game. That's a blueprint, not a one-off. Losing Scott and Geordie Barrett early and still finding shape was very, very impressive. It's a big tick for the group's resilience. I hate saying this out loud because it means Geordie would need to be injured, but I absolutely loved seeing the Tupaya and Fainga Nuku pairing. Leicester was immense. He was able to suck in defenders and allow for the likes of Will Jordan plenty of space to cut through. I think we found our solution to the 13 jersey in Fainga Nuku. What this allows for us is Tupaya to play at 12, Fainga Nuku to play at 13, and Geordie to play at fullback, each playing at their natural positions. This also means we will need to shift Will Jordan to the wing. Again, a position he's been scoring massive amounts of tries at. Now, let's move to what Ireland need to do. And this is going to sound blunt, but I think it needs to be. Other top sides have already started their succession. The All Blacks have played over 40 players this season. South Africa has been north of that figure as well, blending youth with experience. That's how you future-proof. Ireland need to start now. Start blooding youth in real minutes. Broaden the selection funnel so it's not overwhelmingly reliant on one province. The current core has taken Ireland to the top. Massive respect, but the game is evolving. Ireland's next wave must bring more X factor, add strike speed, and develop red zone problem solvers. Specific fixes for the current group, I think, immediately is the line-out repair. They need new pictures, new callers, more simple high percentage throws in the 22. 69% line-out win rate won't win you tests. Red zone decision making, fewer grubbers after long builds, more patience to earn penalties or draw cards, attack variety. Build at least 2 strike patterns that manufacture 1 clean break a half. 0 line breaks is a flashing red light. Lastly, let's resist any temptation to blame the card or the calendar. You dominated 2/3 of this match. Finish, and this match was yours for the taking. The moment that summed it up, for me at least, was clock in the red. Game had already been won, but the All Blacks still go full field looking for one more. It was called back for a forward pass, and I couldn't care less. I love that mentality. That's the standard this jersey is supposed to embody. The result mattered, yes, but so did that little statement at the end. So here's my single sentence post-mortem. Ireland was good enough to build the platform, but not sharp enough to cash it in. New Zealand was messy for an hour, then ruthless when it counted. The Grand Slam chase stays alive. Scotland next. There's plenty to fix, especially the line-out and early attacking connection. But the resilience, the bench impact, and the late game control are exactly what I wanted to see. I'm happy my team won. I feel for Irish fans. This one will sting because it was there. But you don't win these matches with territory maps. You win them with red zone conversion, 1 or 2 genuine line breaks, and a better last quarter. New Zealand delivered those. Ireland didn't. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit subscribe, drop your thoughts below, and tell me, what would you change for Scotland? And what would you change for Ireland's next 3? See you in the next one.